It's too dark.
It's too dark.
Yeah.
Finally back to Berlin, super tired, but did some memory work on the train using like this experimental process I've been working with memory palaces for a while that are helping basically read from my mind Chinese poetry. But I don't know, I always find it like really kind of like it bores people to watch a guy remember stuff from the top of his head. And then, you know, if you edit it, then they're like, it's probably 15 minutes where he sat there trying to recall the stuff from his memory, which is just like an odd feeling about giving demonstrations of memory. And plus, this person is talking like crazy. There's always like a little bit of concentration when you haven't got it completely in. You need concentration when you haven't got the material totally in long-term memory where you can recite it off the top of your head like Jingle Bells or whatever that you've known for a sufficient amount of time that it's just available for random access. And that's always an interesting thing, is to challenge yourself in very, very, very distracting places. So memorizing cards in a cafe and then practicing recalling them with all these distractions, or trying to recall something that you just heard for the first time yesterday with all these distractions and the pressure of being on camera, knowing you don't want to bore people but not wanting to edit so that it seems like these long minutes, you know, have to be cut out when you're not actually doing this kind of stuff. I don't know, I'm so tired. That's the one thing that is the enemy of all memory, is exhaustion, not eating properly, not eating memory-friendly foods, and having noise and distraction. That's why, you know, as a tip, if you go and do exams, bring earplugs, because that can really, really help you, and make sure you're well rested. Anyway, let me think what this poem was. So I remember that it had so it was like Chuan Tian Ming Yue Guan. You didn't hear April, she's saying yes. And then it was Yi Shi Di Xiang Shang. Shang Shuang. Okay, so mistake, but Shang Shuang. Yi Shi Di Shang Shuang.
Yes.
And then Ju To Wang Ming Yue. She's saying yes again in case you can't hear that. And then it was Di Tao Ci Gu Xiang.
Yes.
Oh, that was like, what would you say, 98%?
Yes.
98%. April says 98%, so that means it's probably like 95. Because she's always a little too kind to me. I love you. Anyway, we're home, and that's off the top of my head something I heard for the first time last night. The odd thing is that I've never actually seen the characters, and we need to go later with this other poem that I memorized as well to actually look at the tones. I'm going to bolt the tones on after, then after that I'm going to bolt the characters on. So it's going to be this kind of like 3-pass thing, and that's basically my plan with all Chinese, is to do 3 passes. It might not be the best thing, but on the fringes of using memory techniques, experimenting, coming up with what works, and just learning oral Chinese orally as something kind of fun and cool to do. And we have little conversations now. It's so much fun, and I love it. And it's just like, it's odd and not necessarily building towards super duper fluency, but it also hasn't been tested because I haven't been around other people. I'm really excited to go and hang around all kinds of people and actually try to have conversations. So it was, a month since I had dinner with your friends, and I talked a little bit of Chinese, and they're like, oh, your Chinese is pretty good. Next time I think it's going to be substantially better and more interesting, but there's always this kind of classical thing that as language learners we have to really subdue, which is the nervousness of making mistakes, sounding stupid, getting it wrong, and you just gotta like let that stuff go and be like a kid rolling down a hill. not really caring about the pain that could be inflicted when they smash their head against a rock, you know? And when you get your head smashed against the rock, you just kind of get back on the horse and just start rolling again and keep going and never let it hurt you, because there's no consequence. It's just sounds that come out of your mouth. There's nothing that can possibly harm you or hurt you from making mistakes. When you do make mistakes, it's an opportunity to be corrected and then reassert the correction. And sometimes, you know, you're going to actually still get it wrong the next time. So let's get in a taxi and go to the house, the place where we live. The more. One of the things that people email me about all the time is information that's boring, dry information, far from exciting, not sexy at all. And I don't buy it. I don't buy that information is like that. So I got 5 tips for you about how you can make any information, no matter how dry or boring you may perceive it to be, they'll just like pop with excitement in your mind. And one way is to have a soul ball that reminds you of how wonderful everything is. Like, you know, everybody has bad moods. I have bad moods. Holy crap, do I ever have bad moods? But things are still pretty great, and you've got to remind yourself of what a privilege it is to just have access to something to learn in the first place, you know? And one of the reasons I carry around this soul bottle is really to remind myself always that I have the privilege of water, which is not information, nothing I'm going to learn from, but still it helps my brain actually operate and function. So that's one thing, is just to actually be grateful that you have anything to learn in the first place, that you actually can read something that's boring and dry and not interesting. That in itself is a way of making information sexy. It's just to be grateful you have the opportunity. There are 5 more things that I want to talk about, but they're on the Magnetic Memory Method podcast, and we're back in Berlin, and it's super cold here. So I'm going to shoot you over there to read the other points and listen to the podcast, which I think would be really great, because we're going to get some traffic noise here. We're going to the library, which is another sort of thing, actually, now that I mention it. A great way is to have a place that you love to go to study it. We risk death all the time crossing the street to go to the library, and the library is not that far from here, and we get exercise. It really gets you excited to learn, to have a place to go, and then actually walk over there. Like, not take the bus, not take the train, not drive a car, not get killed while you're crossing the road, but just move your body a little bit. Circulate, because so much of information that's boring is because your body is not in an enlivened state. It's not ready to learn. You haven't taken care of it, so you gotta take care of yourself. And exercise and fitness is a huge thing. And you know, when we go to this library, we don't take the elevator. It's on the 3rd floor, which in Germany is actually the 4th floor. And it's also in this Plattenbau, it's called, which is basically means like record pancake house, and this stuff that they built during the Cold War era. And what that means is that it's even higher up, because there are floors between the floors where the elevator doesn't stop. Hard to explain, but it's a really weird structure in these German buildings. But we walk all the way up to the top of the library, and it's so much fun. But you know, it's not just to do it for fitness, but it's also to prime the mind. Drinking water and stuff helps with that also. Yeah, so go over to magneticmemorymethod.com for the rest of those tips about making information super exciting for you. But it really does come down to a kind of mindset at the end of the day. That's the big overarching thing that you want to do, is really focus in on gratitude for even having the ability to learn. And the other points are going to help you out as well. And there's a cool video there about how to memorize a textbook, and you're going to love that as well. So thanks for watching. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you like seeing cold Berlin. And yeah, thanks for everybody who emailed about the red scarf and the blue scarf video, that they liked it. That was cool. As you can see today, I'm going with the gray scarf. And I like the color gray, actually. It kind of reminds me of the color of magnets. So until we speak again, keep yourself magnetic, and head on over to magneticmemorymethod.com for free memory training. And by the way, click subscribe to this channel if you aren't already subscribed. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.